Hello, my dears. Daniela here, and welcome to another episode of the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. This episode is brought to you by PDO Aesthetics, the #1 coaching company for spa industry professionals wanting to step into the role of spa CEO. And my dears, my friends, I have such a good episode for you today. We are talking about how to get on the front page of Google. We're talking about SEO, and we're doing it in such a tangible way. We're going to show you this incredible software tool that a good friend of mine is using in his company that just lays it all out for you, shows you where your areas of opportunity are, analyzes your website, looks at your competition. It is mind blowing. So we're going to walk you through that entire process today. So several months back, Mish, who is a longtime client, incredible member of Team PDO, and also 7-figure spa owner, she and I were having a conversation about SEO. And she mentioned that her rep from the marketing company she was working with had done just a tremendous job in getting her listed on the first page of Google. And more importantly, she shared that she loved working with this guy because he's so focused on building relationships and really partnerships with the spas that he works with. And we all know, right? Like a good rep can make or break the company. You can have a great product line and a terrible rep, and that product line just tanks. And you can have a mediocre product line and an incredible rep, and it just flies off the shelves. It is super, super important. Anyway, I did ask her to introduce us because I'm always looking to expand my network within this industry. Take note of that. You guys should be doing that too. And we hit it off, and it was really clear right off the bat that our companies could really benefit from one another. But for me, I'm very conscientious about who I promote, who I refer. I have a pretty public platform here in the spa industry, especially on our podcast. If you take note, we are on episode, I don't even know what number this is, but over 300 episodes into this podcast. Our peak positioning, we hit number 14 in the marketing category in iTunes. That's out of 11,000 podcasts. Our podcast, Spa Marketing Made Easy, made it all the way, ranked all the way up to number 14 on iTunes. Like, that is just mind-blowing to me. And we don't have sponsorship ads. Have you guys ever noticed that? And it's not because no one's ever offered. We've actually had some really great companies reach out and offer to pay us lots of money that we turn down because, number one, I think ads are annoying. Personally, I hate listening to ads in a podcast. But number two, I will only recommend a product or a program that I have personally used myself with exceptional results and service. You've got to have both of those components. Well, high level marketing checks both of those boxes, and they have this really incredible holistic approach to SEO and online presence specific to spas. They are very reasonably priced, and the relationship and service piece, which for me is the most important, in my experience in working with them for the past several months, has just been exceptional. So I really can't recommend this company enough. So let me just do a quick read of Ryan's bio, and we'll get into the interview where, again, he's going to walk you through a very tangible way to see why we care about SEO. He's going to talk you through this super cool tool that he uses to audit your spa, see exactly how your SEO is ranking. And you want to make sure that if you're listening to this in your car or on your morning walk or while you're doing your makeup, I want you to go to our website, PDOaesthetics.com, click the podcast link. And Ryan, there's a link there under this episode where Ryan has very graciously offered a free 30-minute SEO audit where you actually get to keep the report. He's going to put your spa into this software. He's going to give you all the details. Then you get to keep the report. Now, whether you decide to work with his company or not, having the knowledge, having this SEO knowledge for your company is absolutely worth 30 minutes of your time. I mean, for us, we obviously did hire them. We have been working for them, and we have seen a tremendous difference in how we're ranking, in a number of website visits. We have done some additional page build outs on our website. Check out our spa coaching page if you want to see some of the work that they've done. But overall, just feeling really supported and like we have a clear, holistic plan of what we're doing to show up number one on the first page of Google, because everybody knows you go to the second page of Google to die, right? Like when was the last time you found something you were looking for on the second page of Google? So anyway, his company has been such a game changer for us, and I'm really excited to share this interview with you. So let me do Ryan's bio real quick, and then we'll jump right in. So Ryan Files serves as a vice president of sales with high-level marketing. With over 10 years of experience, Ryan is focused on the healthcare and aesthetic industries, providing business development and digital marketing solutions for his clients. So simple, to the point, my kind of guy. I hope you enjoy this interview. I hope you learn something that helps your business grow. And more than anything, I hope that you take advantage of that free 30-minute call with the report with Ryan. All right, Ryan, welcome to the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today and really shine some light on what SEO is, because it can be such a powerful tool for spa owners.
Absolutely. And Daniela, thank you so much for the opportunity. Over the few short months that we've known each other, I've grown addicted to your podcast. I listen to it on a weekly basis. And what you're doing in this space with your podcast and your coaching with PDO Aesthetics is truly just so needed in this industry. So I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you. Yes, we're having a lot of fun here. We just crossed our 300th episode, so super proud of that. And it's so, when I first started the podcast, I was thinking like, oh my gosh, what am I going to talk about if I keep going every single week? And now here we are, 300 plus episodes in, and I'm like, feel like I'm just at the beginning. So that's the sign of you're doing something right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's just start. I want to give our listeners really a walkthrough of what SEO is and why they should care about it. So let's just start in the beginning with what is included. When we say we're going to work on SEO, we're going to focus on SEO, what does that even mean?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's something that I talk about with practices a lot because SEO, or search engine optimization, can honestly be a bit technical. So my hope is today that I put the cookies on the bottom shelf so that everyone can get something out of it. But to answer the question, so search engine optimization, I think the word that gets a little bit confusing there is the word optimization. So I'm going to take optimization out and I'm going to plug work in. And I think that starts to explain it a bit. Search engine work. All SEO is working on your presence, your online presence, your website, and other components to help you start showing up higher on Google so that you begin to rank on the first page of Google for your core services that you offer, so that you begin to receive more Google referrals, so that you then start to be able to grow your practice more consistently and predictable through Google referrals. So does that answer the question?
Yeah. So we're talking about your website. So optimizing your website in the sense of, when we talk about like adding a blog or making sure that we have the right headings, or making sure that we're using keywords that will tell Google, if someone's searching for facials near me, Google will be able to find your website and bring you onto the top. So that's kind of in the most basic form that for the website. And then we're also talking about Google My Business, making sure that we're optimized and actually have a profile set up there. And I'm sure there's lots of other things kind of sprinkled in, right?
There's like a million things that can be considered search engine optimization. The three main categories that I think through or consider when I'm just trying to simplify SEO is there's technical SEO. So that's the back end of your website. So that's one side of it, the technical components. Then there is local SEO for local searches. So a lot of that is through your business listings, not just your Google business profile, But there's hundreds of other business listings that will play a role in your local ranking. So local SEO, which is crucial for spas. And then the third component is content, the content that lives on your website. So like you mentioned, Daniela, the blogs and even the service pages, et cetera, that's on the site.
Okay, so I want to talk about this a little bit more because I found it so interesting. You guys have this incredible, I don't know if it's just part of your onboarding process. But when you walked me through that and you're like, all right, so let's plug you into this software. We'll see where you rank. There's like, I had no idea there were hundreds of, we hear about Google, we hear about Bing, but like, I don't know, what are they called? Business directories or business?
Yep. Directories, that's correct.
Okay. Hundreds of them. And, this even gets into, I mean, this is a whole nother conversation, but this even gets into like business credit and making sure that all of your
That's
address is like linked up. So there's so many parts of operating a business, so many things that are so crucial in operating a business that are connected to SEO that when we're first starting, we're thinking about how are we going to get clients in the door? How are we, right? But and that's obviously like the lifeblood of our business is sales, right? We need a steady flow of leads, but there's so many important things that can come from your online presence, having it updated appropriately. So walk me through this software, walk like step by step, because that was so, so cool when I saw that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's honestly, so I've been with high level marketing for 8 years now, and we've been working on this software the entire time. We're constantly trying to improve it, and it's really gotten to a place that's pretty impressive. So the tool that we use, it's called Footprint. And when we first onboard, or even if I'm meeting with a client or a prospective client, we use a component of the Footprint platform is called a local market report. And it looks at several play an impact in your overall ranking. And business listings are certainly one of them. But it's a tool that I'm happy to provide complimentary to any practice that is interested, where it breaks down your architecture of your website and areas that can be improved with the website, your local rankings and how well you're ranking for your primary services in Google, and then also the content and how strong is your content. Does it need to be improved? And if so, what specific pages? So yeah.
That, I mean, I hope you know what you're saying, offering that compliment. Because that is such, I mean, when you did that for me, just the amount of data, as someone who loves to have measurable results, right? So when we're looking at SEO and we're trying to do these things, we have to have a baseline of seeing kind of where we're starting. And SEO is something, it's not going to happen overnight, right? This is something that, what would you say, like a good 6 to 12 months before you really start seeing the efforts, or can it go faster than that?
Yeah. So it's, they call it organic. You've probably heard that, your organic rankings in Google. They call it that for a reason. Think about, putting a seed into the ground. If you expect it to be a tree tomorrow, you'll be disappointed. So how long does it take? It really does depend on the search or the service and how popular that service is, and also how competitive your market is. So if I'm working with a spa that is in a highly condensed area, or a larger city, then it can take a little longer. If I'm in a middle market or even a more of a rural market, it can happen faster. It really does depend. I would say that we try to make meaningful impact right out of the gate. So some of the services that we do in the beginning, we see make impact in the first 3 months. So I don't want to set the expectation that it's going to take 6 to 12 months. And it also doesn't go from 0 to 100. So like all in, one snap. Again, it's organic. So in the beginning, you may see results right out of the gate, but it builds upon itself like a snowball that's rolling down a hill, where the larger it gets, the faster it goes, and the more impactful it can be for your practice.
Okay, so what if I'm like, hey, I need to go faster? could using, right? Because when we're entrepreneurs, we want something, we want it yesterday. So what about using Google Ads? Does that help? Or, how, if I'm a spa owner and I just, want to go as fast as I can, talk to me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that Google Ads is a tool or a lever that you can pull to help expedite success. So you can absolutely do that. We honestly, if money grows on trees, and maybe that's not the right statement, but if the budget is there, I certainly recommend it. I certainly recommend it because you can use Google Ads as almost the sniper approach toward the searches that you're most interested in showing up for. And how we decide that is by thinking really two main things: profit and popularity. So if this particular service is just extremely profitable to your business, so if I can get one of these particular, this service, it's just extremely profitable, or it may not be as profitable, but it's extremely popular. So everyone that comes into the practice, they ask about this service. Those two main categories are the two categories that we want to discuss and kind of build out our service listing that we want to go after for your practice. And we can leverage Google Ads to target those specific searches or services so that you force traffic to your website. And it does help get Google's attention on, hey, I'm making an intentional focus to try and rank for these services. And you will see a byproduct of that is that your rankings organically will show up over a period of time.
So when someone joins high level marketing, when a spa joins, you do this consult that you so graciously offered to all of our listeners, complimentary consult. You're ranking them in this software. You're seeing what the concentration of spas are, the density, all of that kind of stuff. There's lots of metrics. I mean, how many pages was that report?
It's several. So it looks at a few elements and it really highlights, what are the most meaningful optimizations or the most meaningful changes that we can make to drive impact for your priority searches. It also looks at opportunity. So the cool thing with Google is they track everything that happens from a historical perspective. So we know what your highest volume searches are in your local market around specific services. So you tell me, these are my most profitable services. These are my most popular services. Then we can go back and use our platform and our technology to gain an understanding of, which searches are the ones that are searched most often in your local market, the ones that we would recommend optimizing or working towards showing up for to drive the greatest impact for your practice. And we highlight what are the services or what are the things we can do that are going to drive the greatest impact for you, just based on your website health, your content, and your business listings. And we'll kind of build a map, a 6-month roadmap from that. And then we also will be able to tell you which searches are most commonly searched in your local market so that we then know exactly what we want to go after.
That is incredible because it's essentially, a lot of what we're doing with digital advertising or kind of our online presence, a lot of it feels like a guessing game. A lot of it feels like, well, this is what I want to be known for. This is what I'm most profitable for. But there's so much work that goes into really understanding what the consumer is searching for. And you guys already have that, right? So it's always like, nothing is ever just black and white set in stone, but you're really reducing the risk by saying, hey, we know that this is the most searched term in this particular area.
Yeah. And the other component that the platform does is it doesn't just evaluate your presence. We also evaluate all of the other competitors in your local market and compare you to those competitors to see which elements you're ranking really well in and which elements you're behind on. in comparison to your competitors. So that helps us think through the types of optimizations or the types of work that we need to do on your site based on the competitive landscape. So a good example would be if we see that your top 5 competitors in your local market have great content and you're behind on content. So your content score is lower than your competitors. Then we know, hey, this is an opportunity that we really need to focus on first to just become competitive in this space. So we don't just look at traffic or volume of search. We also want to see what your competitors are doing to build out the plan for your practice.
I love that. I love that. So, give me some examples. I don't know if you have any stats or anything of like, why do we care about getting on the first page of Google? Why do we care about, it's, and I guess, I mean, I can answer my own question by saying, how many times have I actually gone to the second page of Google to look for something? But just, is there any like data or information that would be useful for a spa owner to really put the emphasis behind why we care about where we're ranking?
Yeah, absolutely. So spas have, and really every business has a lot of different options at their disposal for, how am I going to go to market? How am I going to market my practice? And search is one of those things, but there's a lot of others out there that you can choose from. Why we believe that search is one of the first ones that you should consider is, and I'll give you a kind of a thought on this, is it's less expensive, it's more predictable, and it's also more passive to capture existing demand than it is to create new demand. So I'm going to use an example, and I want to state before I do that I believe in social media. It's crucial for practices to do it and stay consistent, but I'm going to leverage it as an example. Mm-hmm. Social media is a tool that helps you create demand. So you create a post around a service that you're interested in promoting, and your hope is that someone is scrolling on social, they see your post, they stop, they engage with the content, they're interested in it, and boom, you've created demand. With search, the demand already exists. People are past the point of scrolling on social media, and they're actually turning and looking and they're searching for a provider near them. So they're saying, spa near me, facial provider near me, Botox providers near me. That demand already exists. So it's less expensive, it's more predictable, and also more passive for practices to just capture that existing demand versus just creating it. A stat I think that's really important to bear in mind, and you all probably know this to some degree, but 33% of all clicks on Google happen in the first 3 placements. So it's crucial for your practice to know what services do I want to promote, and then make sure you're in the top 3. You gotta be.
That above, it's like, because there's the ads and then there's the first 3 organic. So are you talking about those first 3 organic?
That's correct.
Okay.
And there's also the map section is another area that you want to think about. And there's a full optimization strategy that you need to be taking to rank well in the map section as well. But yep, the first 3 organic placements capture over 33%. So it's 33% or 30, it's right at, I think it's 33% of all clicks happen in those first 3 placements.
Okay. So we're really, by being placed there, we have a much more, and I love this idea where you said, we were talking a little bit before we started recording about search being more passive. And, we think about like, and social media, how much time we spend on it. And it is an essential part of the strategy. There's all these little pieces because you're creating the demand with social media. But once they go to search, you want to be showing up there as well, right? But talk to me a little bit, about the passive component of this.
I think that it's such an overlooked component to search, but you're right. On social, you're creating that demand, and so is your competitors. So is your competitors. They're creating demand. And what happens is the patient sees that post, they engage with it, and they become interested in the service, not necessarily the provider right away. They become aware of the service. So what happens is they see that post, and then 2 or 3, 4 days later, they continue to research that service to learn more about that service and look for the providers. So if you're not there to capture that demand, you're missing out on opportunities. But if you are there, you start capturing demand from multiple practices that are creating demand through social media. So again, the volume is there across the country for all of these services. I've built my career around it. People search every single day for these services. So it's just crucial that you capture it. Yes, there is work involved to rank in the top 3 placements, without doubt. But once you're there, it can really start to become a passive driver for the practice. And we all know that time is our most valuable commodity, especially for spa owners today. I mean, literally, it's so hard to just meet with a spa owner because of how busy they are. They're being a CEO for their business. So finding places to drive passive lead flow is crucial. And search can certainly be one of those mediums.
So talk to me a little bit about what it looks like once you get to those first 3 places. What are we needing to continue to do to stay there? Because I know it's like the work to get there, but once we're there, are we just maintaining it, or how are we keeping that so that our competitors don't knock us to that second page?
Yeah, it's a great question. I believe that if you're not there to start, so when we do our local market report and we evaluate where you're ranking, you may be ranking in specific searches that we don't have to focus on right away because you're already there. But if we see that you're not there for 3 or 4 services, I believe that you need to be more aggressive in the beginning. So that may include a paid component. That may include more time from a optimization perspective. So us working on your website longer in the beginning. But once you start to show up for your services, the ones that matter most, you actually can decrease your overall investment of time and money around those services because you're there. Google trusts you. You've built trust through work to rank for those services. It doesn't mean you stop. You can't stop, but you can slow down in a sense because you're already there. You're not trying to climb anymore. You've climbed the ladder. Now it's around maintaining that. It's much harder to climb than it is to drop. So what do we do? Some of the elements, writing blog posts is something that I highly recommend. And it's really hard for practice owners, but Google wants you to be a thought leader in your local market, and article development and answering questions that your prospective patients have is a great way to do that. So that's one consistent component that I recommend. And also being consistent on your Google business profile. There is so many places in that profile that if you just look at and that we leverage, we do a lot of optimization or work on your Google business listing. You can post, you can put your specials up, you can do a lot of things that are pretty simple, but they're important to Google to keep in touch. So yeah.
Let's talk about reviews. So how important are reviews in this entire process?
They're so important because patients, there's really 2 main reasons that they're important. One is that patients trust other patients. So a very common journey for a patient is to do a search. The map section pops up at the top. They look at those top 3 providers and they look at reviews before they even look at website. So patients trust other patients. The second component, and this is a component I believe that is overlooked, is that it is a metric Google can track on how well you care for your patient. So if Google sees that you are consistently growing your reviews and that you're maintaining a high quality score, you are way more likely to rank well locally in your local market just because it's a metric that they can track on how well you care for your patient. So it's like putting wind behind the sails for us when we're optimizing. If I see a practice, I have a great example that I worked with was Michelle. When I first met with her, which is a spa in Indianapolis, she had a lot of reviews. And so when I saw that and we were talking through we actually did a local market report. We saw that she had really ignored a lot of her technical SEO and her business listings. I said, I really do believe if we just make a few small tweaks, not a huge investment, we could see big lifts in return because you have a lot of reviews already in comparison to your competitors. And within 3 months, or I'll say 6 to be safe, within 6 months, her bookings grew by 72%. Just from making some of those small tweaks. She started ranking really well locally and saw a meaningful impact from it.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible. So what happens if you get a bad review?
Well,
What
you will.
happens? Because I know we all freak out, right? And sometimes like I have heard stories of people like inside of our program saying this person literally never has been to my spa. How did they even get on our Google review? So, and sometimes we do have a negative review. We're human, right? But like what about those ones where the patient literally has never been there? How do we deal with that?
Yeah, what's so frustrating, and this is just human nature, is a lot of times you don't think to leave a review until you have a bad experience. Like
Yes.
if you feel like you've had a negative experience, boom, I want to leave a bad review. But if you had a great experience, a lot of times you just take that for granted and you keep moving and you don't leave a positive review. So that's frustrating for spa owners and frustrating for a lot of business owners out there. My recommendation is to overcome a bad review, you need 10 good reviews. So what that means in that statement, all I mean by that is that you need to be intentional. You need to have a plan and a process. We have a tool as a part of the Footprint platform that will actually help solicit reviews in mass to grow your reviews. But you need to have a plan in place to consistently drive positive reviews so that when that negative review happens, it doesn't drastically drop your overall rating. So if you have 5 reviews and they're all 5-star, 4, and then you get your 5th and it's a 1-star, that's going to make a significant impact to your overall rating. But if you have 50 reviews or 100 reviews, then that one negative score or rating isn't going to drastically impact your overall rating. And people understand that. I think when even if you think about it, when you scroll through reviews, it's very common that you see a negative review. That's not an uncommon thing. But as long as you see 10 more that are positive backing it up, it's okay. It's okay for that one person to have a bad experience.
Yeah, I always like to go back to how I operate because you're talking about the client journey and when we're searching for things, it's important to see our own process. And I'll find that sometimes if there's no negative reviews or if it's all 5-star, I'm like, what's going on here? There's got to be at least one person, if they have 100 reviews and they're all 5-star, it's like it almost makes you wonder if that's real.
Yeah, it's common with human nature to not always have the best experience for one reason or another. Not everyone is a great fit for each other. So this particular patient just may not be a great fit for the practice. And so it's not a negative thing to have a bad review as long as you have 10 more. So you have lots of good reviews because I mean, these practices, they have lots of faithful patients. So it's just the onus is on you, unfortunately, because it's not human nature to think about leaving a review when it's a positive experience. So the onus is on the practice owner to be creative and thoughtful and intentional around asking for reviews.
Okay, so in wrapping up, is there anything that I'm not asking that is an important piece of SEO for the spa owner to be thinking about?
Yeah, I guess I would list a couple of like super easy things that spas can do to help their ranking because it can be technical and not every spa has the disposable income to hire someone to do it. So a couple of easy things or nuggets, I would say, is one, make sure, because I see this happen all the time with practices, where on your website, you'll have a service page. And on that service page, you'll list all of your services on that one page. I recommend, highly recommend, to get the architecture of your website in place. And what I mean by that is make sure if you offer facials, have a facial page that breaks down that service. If you offer Botox, have a page that focuses on that service, because what that tells Google is, hey, I'm not only do I offer this service, I specialize in this service. And then you can have, and I recommend good content on this page. Take the time and write the content, include a testimonial, think about your FAQs, your frequently asked questions, but have a page for every service you want to rank well for in Google.
Could this be like a blog, like here's, whatever type of facial or service, and then click here to learn more, and it brings you to a blog, and it's like the top 10 questions about this service, how to prepare a video, whatever. So that could just be like a standalone blog. Would that work?
Absolutely. I know it can be taxing to write blogs consistently, and it takes a lot of time to do it. So one of the first things that I recommend is just have a page focused on every single service. Anyone can do that. Just take the time to build the pages out for your services. But then, yeah, absolutely. The next step, and what we do a lot, is then start creating blogs that we link directly to those service pages to improve user experience. The second thing that I would mention, we just talked about, that's very simple and basic, is reviews. So I know we just talked about it, but that's another area that every practice can do. It's not too technical, but just ask and solicit for reviews. They play a big role. And I'll give you the statistic. Google doesn't give away their algorithm or their special sauce because they're constantly changing it. But Google reviews account for 15%. That's a Google statistic they gave out to us, which they never do, but 15% of your overall local ranking. So if you don't do anything else, but you focus on driving reviews, it will help you rank higher locally for the services that you're interested in.
Okay, that's wonderful. Wonderful. Well, we will link up. I want everybody, if you are listening, take advantage of this call with Ryan and his company. I mean, that is so much free information to really understand where you're at, who your competitors are, what improvement in SEO. For me, when you did that for me, that was just like so eye-opening. I was like, oh man, I thought I was doing well. Now I have so much I need to do. But it's great. It's an area of opportunity. When we find these things, we see where we can improve. And it's just building a stronger foundation. It's building a stronger company. And it's really helping us to create more lead flow, which is something, even if you're fully booked out. Typically in spa, we lose about 20% of our clients every single year for a variety of reasons: moving, pregnancy, financial changes. There's reasons that people can't or don't come in to get services that oftentimes have nothing to do with you, right? If you're pregnant or nursing, you're unable to do a lot of the services. Has nothing to do with the quality of the provider, but it's just a season of life. So we have to be mindful that we're always working to still attract new clients. And the more lead flows that we have, the better. So such an important piece. We'll link that up below this video and make sure that you guys definitely take advantage of that. How long does something like that take?
30 minutes. And I will provide a checklist of items. So even if you just want the information and you're not necessarily interested in working with us directly, it's a deliverable that we'll provide to you that you can then take and leverage and use to help your practice. So absolutely 30 minutes of your time, and I'll provide a deliverable that breaks down all of the elements that we just discussed.
That is insanely valuable. And thank you so much for offering that to our listeners. That's incredible. All right. So for those of you that want to keep this conversation going, please be sure to head on over to the Spa Marketing Made Easy Facebook group. Tons of free resources in there. And do not forget to book that call with Ryan. That is going to be just such a game changer in your business. Ryan, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your expertise. And we will catch you all on the next episode.
Thank you, Daniela.